Hey, Principal Tofu, how are you?
Hi,
How are you doing?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is again our CC meeting. As you're
okay.
ask all the principals, so please put the word.
Now I can. Microphone's on.
Put the word principal before your name so that we'll know you're a principal. So if you guys type principal and then your name, and that would be great if you can do that, please. Thank you so much. I see Evelyn Vadi is here. We can do that. John Greco is here. We have NYCDOE. That's Principal Sorachi is here. Hasbury is here also. If you could just put your is here too, yeah, please. Just put, thank you, Ms. Vadi, I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Greco, I saw you change it, thank you. We're just gonna give everyone a few minutes to just acclimate and join, and then we can start. Yeah, if you have a title in the DOE, we'll appreciate if you just put your title, if it's, you know, from which school, whatever it is, it'll be great so our community knows who is in these meetings. We'll be happy to have you this title, that'll be amazing. But principals for sure, let's put your name down because we want to acknowledge you.
Somebody please confirm that they can chat with everyone, not just the folks.
I'll do it right now. Should I see here, chat? I'll say hi. It went to the host only. Let me try to change that, hold on, everyone. Yep, I think it worked.
Works? Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay, 6:36 now, so we're gonna get started now at this time. So here we go. Once again, before we started, I see Principal Burns, thank you so much. If all principals that are on board tonight, welcome, welcome, welcome. We will ask you all to please put your, put the word principal before your name and then put your name over there. If you're a person from the DOE, a personnel from DOE, if you could please put your title, like Deputy Superintendent, Ms. Kong, thank you. Put her title also, we'll appreciate that. Thank you so much. Principal, for example, thank you so much. And at this time, I'm gonna ask everyone to please mute your microphones. Can we ask the host to please mute everyone? As needed. Thank you. Perfect. So let me see, what time is it? 6:36, 39. Okay, let's give 2 more minutes. How's the waiting room, Elena?
Yes, people are still coming in.
Okay, so let's give a few minutes because it will not be fair to do this. Okay, it's 6:40, so I think it's fair to get started now.
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, excellent. Okay, recording, perfect. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to CEC District 28, August 6th, 2020 calendar meeting and business meeting. We are so grateful to have all of you here to see all of your faces. Please, cameras are welcome, faces are welcome. We would love to see each and every one of you. We ask that you keep your microphone muted for, you know, to keep it civil so we can all have a chance to speak and not be interrupted. My name is Vijay Ramjan. I'm the CEC president for this district. And I am joined by my colleagues of the CEC28 who are amazing, doing a lot of great work. Also, we are joined by our district superintendent, Dr. Pate, and her entire team who is here. From FACE, we have our amazing Paul DeCock, who's our FACE associate with us, who does great work with us too. I'm so happy to say that we have so many of our principals from the various schools in District 28 joining us for this monthly meeting. And also so many team members from each school who are joining us. We welcome all of you. As we know, education is a holistic approach. We are just one faction of this. We have President's Council, we have PTA members, we have so many different teams in here with us today. And when we can collaborate like this and join and work together for the greatest of all, it's a great, great, great space. Like I've said to many people, the pandemic had many, many things that was not great about it. But one of the good things that came out of this pandemic, if there was any good thing, but I think this is a positive, is the fact that we are able to have people join meetings where they are in the comfort of their homes. And right now, you can see your backgrounds is beautiful. All the paintings, all the couches, this is wonderful. You're home, and we hope to continue some form of virtual access to these meetings in the future when we are able to go back in person. But definitely, this has opened up a space where we can meet our families, our parents, our educators, where they are, and have them be part of these amazing, these informational meetings. So again, welcome to our superintendent, our deputy superintendent, Sonia Rueda. We thank you for being here, our family empowerment leader in our team over here, our FACE personnel, and our CEC members. Today's meeting is going to be doing a lot of information for back to school opening. As many of you know, the biggest thing on our minds right now, and us as a CEC, we usually plan the year out by having different speakers planned out for the whole year. And we had to cancel those speakers because the need for the community is back to school for this month. Because come September, many parents are wondering, should I not? And they have a lot of questions. And the governor had his piece to say, the mayor had his piece to say, the chancellor had said his piece also. And the parents are left to make a choice with limited information. And also, that's what's there. So we will listen very attentively. I ask you all to please, give your full attention to our district superintendent, Dr. Pate, and her team, who is going to give you all the information they know, and they have. The CEC also have 3 committees. We have the Back to School Committee. The chairperson of that committee is Elena Amenova, who's our second vice president. We have the Safety Committee, which is Michael Morrison, and he is our chairperson for that committee. And we have also the Equity Committee, who Ted Chang, our member, he is the chairperson of that committee. So you're going to hear from all these members. Also today, we're going to hear from President's Council too. So before we continue, let's do the roll call, and then we'll start. So council members, just say yes, I'm here. Barbara Williams, she's excused. Elena Amenova.
Here.
Erica Cooper, who's our recording secretary.
Present.
And Elena Amenova, by the way, is our second vice president. Barbara Williams, our first vice president. Then we have our treasurer, Andy Meadows King. Are you here, Andy? Okay, not excused. Then we have our members, Ted Chang.
Here.
Then we have Michael Morrison.
Here.
Robert Tamayev. Robert Tamayev. Okay, not excused. Hope he's well. And Howard Pollock.
Present.
Thank you, Howard. Howard is here. Excellent. So without further ado, at this point, we'll just turn it over to our district superintendent. That is Dr. Page, who's been doing amazing work, a great collaborator, a great, inspiration to our whole team. And she came in here running and didn't get a chance to settle in. She just had to adjust and keep going. And I tell you, if she did not know everyone, she had to know everyone in 1 week. And she did a great job doing so. Dr. Page, unmute yourself and please take it over, please. Thank you. You're still muted.
Everyone. I was joking. I said I was just in the process of revising this document to show to you, and I don't know if we have access to share our screen. I know 1 or 2 members of our team will need to be able to share. So
yes,
if that is
Got it now. Got it now.
I'd certainly appreciate it. I wanted to share just a little overview. And I'm sorry, is this where we can sort of talk about our process as the district? We should do so at this time. Thank you.
As part of your report, go for it. Yes.
Awesome. So good evening, everybody. And it's really good to be with you. I'm going to tell you that we were with the parent leaders of Queen South on yesterday, and what what an event that was. There was outstanding parent participation, and so we had an opportunity to to really get a sense of what other districts were doing and some of the feedback we got from other families. And so that really led us to thinking about what a great, first of all, great district we have. Some of the feedback that we were allowed to see via the chat really affirmed for us that we are doing a great job with communication, or better than most. And everywhere, everyone has room to grow. If we didn't, I mean, my mother used to say, when you stop growing, you must be not here anymore, right? So we continue to grow and learn, and as we learn, we get better. I wanted to try to keep this as consolidated as possible. So what I want to do tonight is to talk to you a bit about, and forgive me if I center around reopening, right? Because I think that that's front of mind for everyone. And so I want to talk a little bit about what was our process for moving into reopening, and some of the things that we had to consider. And I'm going to fly really quickly through a little presentation, and then I'm going to have our principals, and we have a couple of principals. I don't know if you can unmute our principals, because they are going to also contribute to the conversation around what the work look like. So if we can start where it all began, which is with the our Chancellor and the New York City Department of Education determining that, yes, it was a good idea for us to attempt to reopen schools. And we knew at the outset that that was not going to be an easy event, not by a long shot. I'm trying to get my screen so that I can, hold on, not by a long shot. And so we knew that there was a lot of planning that had to happen, right? We were given what felt like, I'm going to confess, like it's asking us to think about schooling in a different way. So when we were faced with thinking about school models, right? Thinking about reopening models for school, we had to really do some deep thinking and deep learning. And Department of Education, I think, has been great about sending an overabundance of information out to folk. But with that overabundance was a lot of confusion, right? It was just a lot of information to take in and to learn quickly. And so our district, and I was very focused on making sure that we thought about our critical considerations. What is it that we needed to know and plan for? But before we got there, we had to learn about the models. And I know that you know the models, but I'm just going to overview a 30-second or a quick overview. I'm looking at BJ, as long as you keep shaking your head, I'm going to continue forward. And so we thought about the models that our Chancellor proposed, and those models in a nutshell, it's here on your screen. For elementary school, the first sort of set of models are good across all of the grade bands, elementary, middle, and high. Model 1A is alternating days, rotating Mondays. I know you know this. Model A2 is, 1A and 1B, my apology, has several rotating days, and they're good for elementary, middle, and high. Those two models, as shared by Chancellor, look like this, right? So they're two-person cohorts, and of course, every cohort has a at-home cohort. Every cohort has a fully remote option, and that looks a little like this, where there's 2 days on. In 1A's breakout, there's 2 days on for A and B and A and BB and A and B and AB. And our parents were like, what? And then there was 1B that was like, okay, it looks a little more, I get the rhythm of it. A, BB, AA, BB. Okay, we got that. We could understand how two cohorts of children, cohort A and B, could participate in an in-person kind of schedule. But that still felt really, couldn't quite wrap our hands and our minds around it. And then we thought about the next set of models that they helped us, that we were told to consider. And that was model 2. So remember, model 1 has 2 options. Model 2 has 1 option. And that includes 3-person cohorts. Again, you've done this with your schools, and I'm not going to do a great job of digging into this because this is fast, fast, fast. Model 2 has one option, and it includes 3 in-person groups. And this was really good, again, for elementary, middle, and high. A lot of our middle schools thought about this because some of them are a little bigger. So they needed more students to be able to participate, which fundamentally meant that there were fewer opportunities for in-person schooling, right? The more models we create, cohorts we have, the less time in school children have. So that means that they're spending a lot of time in remote, what we are calling blended learning. The next model, which was model 3, has 2 options. And as you can see, it's a 6-day rotation where you have ABC, ABC, or AABBCC. Obviously, if you're not a part of the cohort that's listed, then you are at home and remote learning. I hope that's pretty clear. And then model 4. Model 4 has 2 options. And that was designated as for these District 75 schools. And we have some news about that. What we received today as acknowledgement is that that option would be open to schools. And so we're really thinking about that because some of our schools said, I'd like to have a model like this, but I have to file for an exception. Talk about exceptions. But these are the options for model 4. It has 2 options. And finally, model 5 also has 2 options. And as you can see, there's another cohort. There's 2 to 3 in-person groups, and that means less time per group. Less time per group. So in this model, 3 days of A, and then 3 days of B. There's a completely in-school group of C and a completely remote group of D. Again, we're going to talk about kind of the stickiness of this project, these models. Finally, and there's a lot more to the slide deck, but we're going to get into principles just talking about the process. Finally, the district review team. All of you know that this came about. You know that it was announced. And our first intention was that we were going to have stakeholders, all of our stakeholders participate. And then the Department of Education said, no, these are the exact titles that have to be a part of the DRT. So I formed the DRT. I had a sort of orientation and kickoff, and now we are ready to begin hearing schools' options. This is the calendar that was given to us, or the timeline that was given to us by the Department of Education, which we are following. And so on by the 24th, we were updating families about learning preference and staff accommodations. That survey went out for us to complete. By the 31st, I developed the DRT. By the 7th, the family learning preference surveys are due to complete. I was told by our chancellor on today that we should expect to have the results of that survey by Monday. Results of the survey by Monday. So we'll be sharing with the CEC once we get those results. So BJ, just keep connected on that. By the 10th, schools have to meet. Every school have had to have had at least one large family engagement night in order to share and discuss the models. So everyone should walk away understanding what each model, sort of the good and the bad, or the benefits or not of every single model, so people can make an informed choice. Schools have been told, principals have to submit their models now. The time is now. The cutoff is August 14th. And then the DRT will hear every single school's proposal, whether they take a chancellor's model, that's 1 through 5, or they file for an exception. The DRT has to hear every single plan, and using a rubric, evaluate the plan. Now let me say this, and I've said this out loud. My principals have heard me say this out loud. I want you to hear me say it out loud. I also said it yesterday. Every plan, any plan that has not had significant parent outreach will not be considered. So every school has been mandated, and our principals are glad to do this. They have done it. Those who were trying to pull the pieces together have gotten support expert in doing it, but every principal has had, and in our case in District 28, because you all hold us accountable, we've had multiple engagements with families so that people are getting, you know, any plan that only has one perspective is not a good plan. So this is where we are. We're moving toward approval. The DRT gets 1 week to hear and determine whether it passes or fail every single model. So you can imagine next week is going to be, and the week after is going to be quite exciting. And so we have 1 week to make determination. Those plans, our decisions go to a central review team, and then central does the final approval or rejection of the school plan. So even when it passes the school level and everyone says yes, it goes to the district level, everyone says yes, it still has to get passed by the chancellor. And so a small diagram of that is right here. And I don't know if you've seen this, but I want to make sure that, that you see it here. This is sort of the calendar of how this thing will happen. I'm making it smaller because I feel like you can't see, right? As I spoke to you about this, school meets with families, they decide on a model, they submit it. If the DRE, if they choose a chancellor model, DRE's decision is a yes, approve. It goes to the central, and they can approve for programming. If it's a no, they either get rejected or must re-engage families to revise the plan. If a school comes up with an exception, they submit it, the DRT will hear it. If it's not approved, it can be revised, or if it's approved, it goes to the central decision, and then once approved, the school can begin to program. So it's not final until the lady at Tweed says it's final, right? And so that's what we know and how we have been thinking about the plan. Now, that doesn't speak to sort of the nitty-gritty of the work. And I want to, at this time, give an opportunity for our principals to jump into the conversation. I'm going to stop sharing so one of them can share. This is sort of I think better than anything any of us put together, is a picture or a view of what this process looks like from our district perspective. The planning steps involved in making the decision with regard to reopening schools. Who's going to jump in now? I'm going to stop sharing. We have a team member. We didn't get a chance to practice, you all, so if there's a little break, it's like the performance.
Dr. Pate,
Yeah.
Ms. Franco can share the chart that you have.
Do you want me to leave it up?
So can you please leave it up? Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it up. There you go.
Yeah.
And continue sharing. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Ms. Brinker, it's all you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. So I'll take it from where Dr. Pate left off with engagement with the Chancellor. So as principals, we have reopening of school meetings with the Chancellor. At first, it was like every 2 weeks, and now they are more frequent to give us updates and guidance and next steps on plans for reopening. We have also engaged with our SLTs. For us this year, it's new for us to be engaging with our SLTs during the summer, but because of the unique circumstances that are going on, it is necessary for us to meet with our SLTs. So we've been engaging with our SLTs about the various models, and Dr. Pate illustrated the models as they were shared with families on the survey, but in speaking with my SLT, they needed us to dive a little bit deeper to further explain, well, what does that look like in a given month? So the parents and the staff on my SLT decided to take a look at the month of October, determine how many days we would be in school for October, and for each model, 1A, 1B, 2,
Yeah, 3.
those were the 3 models for elementary school. We went through those models and we created additional charts to share with our families which outlined how many days scholars would be in the school building, how many days scholars would require remote learning in a childcare setting if families were not home, and the consistency of days within that particular model group. And we did that for 1A for groups A and B, and of course, group D is constant with each of the models, which is full remote learning. We did it with a model 1B as well as model 2. We talked about in depth about the differences, the pros and cons for different needs of families, where parents work in the home, as well as parents needs, the needs of parents who work outside of the home, to then have a robust discussion about which would best suit the needs of all families in our school community. From there, we also took a look at our social distancing survey results room by room within the school. We looked at our tentative registers for our classes, and we determined how many groups would be needed per grade to also help inform a model choice. Additionally, I engaged with my staff, my instructional cabinet, and we reviewed this data as well and reviewed the models as well, so that everyone had the same understanding of the models and what each entailed in terms of in-person learning as well as remote learning for blended and full remote. Engaging with the community has also been key to conversations over these weeks and will continue. We have been speaking with our community-based partners, our grant partners, to discuss how they could support us academically as well as social emotionally. And on a weekly basis, we engage with our district team cohorts to have thought partners to talk through our pros and cons and share best practices that we have gained in this work.
Excellent. Any other than the large middle school want to jump in?
I could just add on for a little bit.
Mhm.
Am I coming through? I'm on
Yes.
my phone outside, so it's hard to tell. But I'm Andrew Topol, principal of PS 182 in Jamaica. And just building on what was said by Principal Branker and Dr. Pate, we've gone through similar processes and feedback along the way, whether it's from colleagues, from Central, from our communities, whether it's from surveys. I know we've had 3 town halls in 3 different languages to make sure that we were getting out to our entire communities. We had opportunities for translations in other languages. We've been able to send out regular communications, not only the information that's provided from Central, but helping to distill, helping to put out, share the feedback that we've gotten from our families. Being in regular communication with the wider school community, with our SLT, with the staff members. And these things have really happened on a regular basis as we've gotten deeper into the process. As Ms. Branker said, the communications have become more and more frequent. And it's really been a sort of back and forth, because as more information is released and we get additional feedback, we're able to then hone our thoughts and really as a community come together. But it's been invaluable also being able to work with our colleagues within the district and within those cohorts. We all have a lot of similar needs, but there's also a wide range of approaches to all these things, even within the standard models there. So whether you're talking about health protocols, whether you're talking about considering the considerations of different models, or even how to go ahead and deliver the supports within those models, being able to hear what our colleagues are doing in other schools has been invaluable. And so it's really been a process that's allowed us to sort of, as the situation has unfolded, as as we've got more information. We've been able to sort of deepen our process along the way, whether you're talking about the logistics of reopening, about programming, about the delivery of instruction. It's really been the back and forth with our various communities across the board, internally in the DOE, and also with our internal school communities.
Absolutely. So what Principal Topol is talking about, I'll get you a graphic. I was sharing, so I don't want to scroll through my entire desktop, but I'll pull up the graphic so that you can see how schools were matched. What we ended up doing early on, even before going into COVID, is what we created cohorts of principals. But we reset the cohorts so that principals who have similar schools, whether it's size and grade bands or other characteristics, maybe they are, campus or whatever, they were able to collaborate and learn together and plan together. And so that became a very powerful tool. And I know Rena is on the line. She also happens to be our district CSA rep. But our principal, I keep calling you by your first name, I'm sorry, but is on, and I don't see you, but are you here? Oh,
Dr.
Jarrett
Can you speak?
here. Yes, please. So if you could add as well, please.
Okay. So part of the work that we had done with the cohort, which was really helpful, is that we were paired together with schools that had similar numbers of students in our schools. So when we did our planning and our thought process, we were able to really engage and collaborate in conversations to sort of like think about our student population, how many children we had, and how can we best engage with it with our families as well, and think about what would be some hardships we can encounter, how can we work together on that, what are some best ways to communicate with our families. And it was a lot of brainstorming in order to get to that. And we really looked closely on the Department of Health guideline. That was one of the items that we used that was published on July 13. We also, in conjunction with that, we looked at the information that CDC given us, as well as our chancellor, and for all the principals. That was really important because we really wanted to provide the best that we could and the best that we can, a really safe environment for everyone, for our children, our families, and our staff. And in the planning process that we were given, those were the guides that we use in terms of our thinking and coming up with formatting a plan for our schools.
Thank you so much for that. And I'm glad that you're mentioning Department of Health, and because our principal Sirachi and Burns is going to talk to us in a second, but I just want to give you a snapshot of another step we took as a district. And you're a parent in this district, so you are well aware that you was asked to complete a survey. One thing I should tell you, the survey of nearly 6,000 respondents does not represent the whole, because we also did a special, it had the same questions except one, and we sent it out to our nearly 2,000 student count large middle school. So we were able to secure nearly 8,000 respondents. And here's one of the areas I really want you to sort of
Hi, Dr. Pate. One second, please. Can everyone else mute their microphones, please? We get some feedback. We can't hear you clearly. And when Dr. Pate, just unmute yourself. There you go. Perfect.
Thank you. And then Principal Burns and Sirachi are gonna jump in 2 seconds. So I just want to in full transparency, you guys know that this is the way I've chosen to be the lead, right? And it's not the only way, but it's my way. I want to just be real transparent about how we polled and the questions that we asked with regard to this survey, and telling you that there are nearly, I think it's I'm not sure, it's over 1,000 respondents more from our large middle schools. But this is some of what we asked. And I'm gonna, yes, these are the schools and some of their numbers of who participated, how many parents were able to participate. the grade span. So thinking about where you are, the children who are in our district, this is of critical concern to our elementary schools, big time. Again, there's a whole cohort of middle schoolers that also participated. And I want you to look at this number down here. 62 of our families took the survey, and their children are going to high school. So that really was confirmation for us that this is an urgent issue that we really have to pay attention to. We asked them how many were planning to opt out. Right? How many plan to stay home? How many was undecided? This looks like almost a perfect three-way split in some ways, with more saying, I need my child to go back to school because obviously I need to go back to work. And then we talked about what is front of mind. Like now, we wanted you to tell us what concerns you the most. And I want you to think about this, right? Even though we took our best crack at things that worry and concern parents, class size, building utilization, that's safety and PPE, teaching expectations, whether children would have live synchronous instruction, services for children with IEPs and our English language learners, technology, childcare was a big concern. And then there's this whole other set that is other, right? So I was curious about what other meant, so I asked them to tell me a little bit more about it. From there we got, and all of this is anonymous, so we're not gonna, show anybody or put anybody on blast. Parents wanted to know how well staff will be prepared. How can parents be prepared? We wanna make sure siblings are together. I'm concerned about safety. So there was a ton of very unique answers, and every principal got a code in order to pull their school's data, so that became a part of the conversation for planning. From this, we created what we are affectionately calling our critical concerns. And here is also something that talks about models. We created a document that was called Critical Concerns that really wanted us to explore these items, as well as the Department of Health priorities for our, Department of Health priorities for all schools. And now if I can have Principal Sirachi and Principal Burns to share screen really quickly, they're gonna show you our document that we created called Critical Concerns. And that is a document every cohort had to co-create. They had to fill out all of those things. They had to answer how they're gonna manage PPE. What about exits and entrances? What about communication? So as soon as they get the ability to share, you let me know. I've stopped sharing. And I guess what I hope to
yeah, if I can, am I permitted to share my screen?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
All right, just give me a second as I try to figure out. I'm more of a Google Meet than a Zoom,
Share screen on the
but
bottom.
I'm getting better at Meet as Zoom as well. So just let me move this around. So as Dr. Pate was discussing, so we had the opportunity, as was stated by the other principals who spoke before me, to come together in cohorts. And myself, Principal Sirachi at 157 and Principal Grego at 190 were grouped together because of the size of our school population. The average size being somewhere between 1,600 and 1,800 students. So when we're thinking about that, and we're thinking just initially about the models, after looking at research and meeting in SLTs and town halls and getting feedback from all of the constituents, we also looked at the square footage documentation from our facilities partners to tell us exactly how many students they felt would be safely in a classroom in accordance with CDC and DOH guidelines. So that was a big piece in terms of informing us around the models that we were picking, because of the number of students that could come up to our building at any given time. For 217, for my school, it was approximately 650 students on a given day. That meant then we really had to consider how many cohorts we could have in the building, because the number of cohorts you have in the building has an impact on the number of students that are out of the building for a period of time. So if you're looking at the document, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. So, and Principal Sirachi, please feel free to jump in, Principal Grego, at any
And
time.
Principal Grego is here as well. I'm sorry, I failed to mention John Grego is here as well.
So Dr. Pate provided us with this opportunity to look at what we're calling critical considerations, which you see in column A. And then as a cohort, a triad, we work together to kind of just, again, brainstorm, take it back to our schools, take it back to our various teams, look at the research, right, from all of the large school districts with large schools around the country and also outside of the country, because as we know, many schools beyond the shores of America have already started school. So we wanted to see what was successful there as well. So we kind of all landed on having 3 cohorts that would be in the building in a blended format, and then a 4th cohort, which is that D format. And you'll see there on the screen where it just discusses briefly how parents have until tomorrow to decide if they want to opt their child into full-time remote. But some of the other things, and I'm just going to scan down before we kind of get in, and I'm sure Principal Sirachi and Principal Rego can speak also to the details, but I just want to show the considerations that we did think about, right? So how many cohorts, which of the cohorts are instruction, which are remote, but obviously, along with safety, and safety was the #1 concern when looking at my school data, and then as a triad, looking at our school data as a larger sample size, right? Because the larger the sample size, obviously, the more accurate that data will be to us. Safety was #1, and that was the first primary lens that we would look through when we were looking at any possible plan, be it the models we were selecting or the various strategies we were going to use to enter large cohorts of students into the building and exit them out of the building. And we can absolutely talk to that this evening. But in addition to that, curriculum is still obviously a priority, right? Safety #1, but we do not want to lose sight of curriculum and how important the academics and the social emotional learning are for our students, especially in middle school, right? In terms of thinking about adolescent development and how crucial strong, rigorous curriculum for all of our students, right? Really providing academic opportunity for all of our children. And in addition, making sure that we're embedding SEL consistently. I know as a school at 217, and I've spoken with 157 and 190, being very sure, very purposeful that we're going to launch our school year with a great deal of community building, really pushing to that sense of trust and that sense of belonging through the SEL competencies. And in addition to that, we also talked about student supplies, all the way down to our students going to be sharing art supplies, phys ed supplies. And some of those things are dictated just by social distancing that students are not going to be able to do currently, right? Our hope and our goal and our prayer as a community is that eventually we're going to get to that, hopefully sooner than later. But we also talked about what is the live streaming plan for those students that are currently physically in the building in front of the teacher, as well as those other 3 cohorts, right? For example, if A is in the building, B, C are home, and D is home consistently, what's happening in terms of live streaming? We talked about what the school day is going to look like, and we just received guidance very recently on what that school day is going to look like, so we can talk about that as well. But then enrichment and what will that look like? And obviously, when you think about enrichment or you think about after-school programs, again, you're kind of pigeonholed a slight bit because you can truly only provide after-school to that cohort of students that are in that building that day. When we're thinking about safety, we're thinking about cleaning, right? And we're thinking about also manpower. And if you're starting to expand your after-school programs, not that we can't, but we have to be strategic in truly trying to keep cohorts together, right? CDC is really clear on that as one of their #1s, is try to limit your cohorts. Dr. Pate, jump in at any point if you want me to just pass the mic.
Yeah, no, that was a big point. I echoed the
Sure.
test and trace process, and I'm sure someone will ask a question of that later, and I'm fully prepared to talk about that.
Sure, beautiful. Obviously, I talked briefly about SEL and the trauma, and I'm the father of 2. One young lady who just completed high school, and one young lady who's going to be a junior in high school. And I'm truly concerned about the trauma that they have experienced and are hiding, right? Because we have normal everyday conversations and I don't truly see them acting out in any way other than what teenagers normally do. But I am deeply concerned about the trauma. So just recognizing that in all of us, it's just unnatural to be in your house for 4 months. So just being really cognizant, purposeful in making sure to embed SEL in our daily lesson plans. I talked a little bit about that space considerations, and each school in New York City received 2 spreadsheets. The first spreadsheet was a draft, and schools were asked to visit their buildings, walk the halls, walk classrooms. We had our measuring tapes out, and just being realistic, because some of the space considerations, some of the square footage that the DOE may have identified, and they were clear, these are square footage. It's not necessarily correct in the sense that you might have furniture in the room that would prevent the number of students that we feel would be in the room if there was no furniture in the room, et cetera. So those were space considerations. We talked about managing signage in public spaces, which is going to be obviously crucial as we consistently message to all stakeholders on expectations as well as responsibilities when it comes to being in our school building. And then we talked about communication protocols, and you'll see here on row 19 where it says social distancing coordinator and community coordinator. Right now, those are in our school buildings are most definitely going to be assistant principals, but they are to be determined because we're still, Department of Ed is providing additional guidance as to the responsibilities of those positions. And as principals for a number of years, each of us, Mr. Sirachi, myself, and Principal Grego, we know what our assistant principals are truly effective at. We just want to make sure we're matching them correctly to those responsibilities. We also talk about what the chain of command is. And often when we look at the chain of command of communication, we're going to look at it and we're going to go back and refer also, as we've done, to our safety plans, because in our safety plans, you do have a chain of command in terms of a crisis or an emergency. So you'll see similarities there if you're on SLT or if you're on the safety committee for your school. We also talked about how you keep your families informed. So what applications, what tools do you have that will be, that you'll be able to provide? And obviously emails and robocalls, are important, but also those hard copies are also really, really important. As we know, one of the greatest divides in terms of our communities, in terms of our nation, is that digital divide. So making sure that now that we'll be able to be back in our buildings, we'll be able to get those hard copies backpacked home to make sure that we're keeping everyone in the loop. And big shout out to Principal Topol in terms of just really identifying and saying how important it is that we're recognizing the many languages in our community, and we're doing all that we can to support that in our communications. Updating families on ongoing COVID protocols, so knowing that you have to have a safety team in place, and that also ties into your community coordinator, and making sure that, because we're learning about COVID on a daily basis here. So as new things come to us, making sure that we're communicating that obviously to all of our stakeholders, but signage has to be changed and consistently. So there'll be a checklist in place at our schools to make sure that we're looking and making sure that everything is up to date and is communicated in real time. And then we talked about daily screening, right? What are those arrival protocols, dismissal protocols? And I can come back to that again momentarily. Yeah. We also talked about what happens if someone says they feel sick, and there's a number of things that have to kind of in a chain have to occur there, and you see that in the spreadsheet. PPE protocols, right? So who's in charge, how will it be distributed? And again, right away in that next box, you see AP to be determined, again, because we just want to make sure that we're 100% on the same page in terms of what those expectations are. Managing signage in public space, and then hygiene, right? So these are all of, again, these head topics as well as subtopics underneath it. So you see hygiene is another one of those head topics. So we're thinking about cleaning and what's that going to look like, and there's very distinct protocols that have to occur in a building. Air ventilation and what's occurring there, PPE storage and protection. And then, I'm sorry, for that particular one, that's containment, right? And that's a lot of data there, a lot of information to read. But again, it's available. We can go through it, if not now, at another time before we launch the year. Hand washing stations, as we know, hand sanitizing dispensers are being installed in our school buildings. So that, along with one of the parents on my most recent town hall, who is a nurse, really was emphasizing how so important it is that our children are washing their hands consistently, our adults are washing their hands consistently. So she asked, and I thought it was a great idea, to have at least structured announcements, if not in addition to structured announcements, structured time throughout the day, where students are told, okay, guys, this is sanitizing time, and we take 2 minutes during classroom time, and just everybody again sanitizes their hands, because as we know, that's one of the major ways of transmission. And then we talked about food. What's breakfast going to look like, and what's lunch going to look like? Breakfast at 2:17 is going to be a grab and go as they're entering the building, along with temperature being taken, along with hand sanitizer being distributed. Our students will be grabbing their breakfast and going up to their classroom, and they'll be eating in their classroom. And then last, guys, we talked about transportation and what's that going to look like, specifically from the 217 population. We talked about, because I have so many students that come on public transportation, what's that going to look like? In addition to that, students that may have special needs and are arriving to our school building daily on New York City DOE transportation services, what does that look like? So we grabbed a little bit there, Principal Sirachi and Principal Rego and I, and just tried to kind of get some of the key points around specifically the population of students that might be traveling to and fro from our building in New York City school bus transportation. So those are all of the considerations, and this is a live document. It sits in Google Sheets, and the reason it sits in Google Sheets is because we're consistently updating it as we're getting consistent guidance from the Chancellor's office each week, as well as from Dr. Pate and her team at District 28. And then, as many of the principals have mentioned, having the opportunity to meet in cohorts and to pick Principal Sirachi's brain and to pick Principal Grego's brain. We are texting in the evenings, we're texting in the middle of the night sometimes, and we're texting very early in the morning to have conversations as we're just kind of try and problem solve, and then something else may come up and then having to make adjustments.
Can you go down to transportation real quick? Sorry.
Sure.
Now, I also want to say, and if we can open Dr. Lusaint's mic for a second. I also want to say, and I hope that we're not giving too much, but I want to push the point forward that we are trying to create plans that not only work well for an individual school, but work well for our district. The critical considerations form, you're going to see a lot of this verbiage, the writing is repeated on plans for even our elementary schools. Why? Because as a parent of multiple children, it's funny, Burns, I didn't know you had a high school graduate and an 11th grader. We were apparently pregnant at the same time. Tell your wife I said high five. Mine is going to 11th grade and one just graduated. But what we wanted to try to do is to make sure that our principals across the district, that they had language and they had, seed ideas and thoughts, so that when we had questions, when we engaged community, when we engaged our parents, we had a starting point, and that we were able to really think about what creates a safe environment for our children to the best of our ability. And then as Central is releasing data or guidance, we're also including that in our critical consideration. For a district, it is for me, it is critically important that we don't have 5,000 ideas around handling PPE, but that we have, one or two, where we make an agreement around how we're going to handle these things. And it has to be, of course, appropriate for the age group. I know that there are questions about pre-K in the chat. When we get the Q&A, we can think about some of those questions, but it needs to be appropriate. And so what I wanted to do, we have one of our principals of one of our smaller middle schools, and Principal Lusaint, you're there?
Do you want
to jump in? I think you can stop sharing. And I don't know if Principal Lusaint, if you want to add anything to what we've done or share anything.
Yes, similar. Good evening, everyone. I am Principal Lusaint, proud principal of Middle School 8 in Jamaica, Queens. Similar to what Principal Burns have shared. Can you guys hear me? Yes, a cohort principals, middle school principals, we came together, smaller schools ranging from 200 to 450 scholars. We collaborated together to create protocols around some of the highlights that Principal Burns shared, such as communication protocols, to ensure that we keep our families, our students, our staff, and our whole school community informed about each procedure and protocols that we are establishing in our school community, and all adhering to the Department of Health guidelines and also to the Department of Education guidelines. We came together to kind of think about our arrival and dismissal procedures, and as a principal of a co-located school, having two other schools in the building, it is very important that the building council, myself, Principal Lau, and also Principal Angeles comes together and meet together to ensure that we are streamlining our protocols in the building. So the same thing is happening for cohort members, Principal Sandusky, Principal Katan Brown, and also Principal Mims. We outline our communication protocols in addition to establishing a way to ensure that our families and remain transparent with our families. In addition to that, we discuss in regards to breakfast and lunch protocol, as Principal Burns mentioned, to ensure that our children have guidelines and structures that is going to keep them safe as they proceed to get their breakfast and also get their lunch. One thing that was really important is to ensure that hygiene, PPE, the distribution of PPE masks, and how is that going to take place? When children need to, like Principal Burns shared, hand sanitizers and washing hands, bathroom protocols. So we did all meet together and follow the same guidelines as Principal Burns mentioned in regards to ensure the health and safety of all in our school building, in our school community. Thank you, Dr. Pate.
Thank you so very much. And so that is, in a very large nutshell, some of the work that we have been doing in order to move rather aggressively with speed towards reopening plans that could get approval and that work for our school community. Please understand that no two schools are exactly the same. You know that. You know that. I also believe in the wisdom of folks getting together, thinking together, planning together, which is why the cohort model and then also the larger district team meetings have been so important. And as we get more information, we share that information and our plans get stronger. So at this time, I think we're done with our presentation unless there's a principal on that has not spoken that desires to do so. And I can't say thank you enough for all of the principals on the line who are here with us and but it not robbery, as we say, to join us on tonight. I conclude this presentation then. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much, principals, for all your endless work. This is a summer like no other, right? We are working double time.
Yeah.
So again, thank you so much.
I would like Principal Kelly from 174.
Yes.
I just can't stop and say how important relationships are and the relationships in our district. Our parent coordinators have also been meeting every week with Sonia and with Dr. Pate and with all their guest speakers, and they have been making sure that all of these things are communicated to families in every language. We're not just making plans in isolation. We're doing it with multiple means of communication. That's addressing languages. It's addressing devices and access. It's addressing everything. And if any family has a specific need for their child, my advice is to reach out to the parent coordinator and the principal. There's in the chat some questions about supplies. They will be addressed specifically. If your child, you have siblings that need to be in the same cohort, of course, reach out. Make yourselves known before they're assigned. So please know that schools are here to work with our families, and that's our goal, is to have the best experience for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Principal Kelly. So as I was saying, my dear friends, yeah, we want to thank our team. I know we are working on familiar zones and unfamiliar times, and we're doing the best we can, all with a big question mark, right? Because if the governor says we're not going to open school, we're not going to do it. But I'm happy to see that our district already is prepared, and I'm sure people have questions later on as our team, Erica, our secretary, and our second vice president, Lena, has been typing in the chat here. If you would like to ask us a question later on, we will be answering questions later on. Please type your name, put the word speak, and then your name, and we'll call you in the order in which we receive your name to ask your question later on. We're not taking questions at this point. Or if you put a question right now on the chat, we're not answering directly from the chat, but you will get a chance later on to ask a question, and we will be here to answer as many questions that we need to answer today as possible. So,
may I add, BJ?
Yes, please, Mr. Rachi, go ahead.
We had our town hall yesterday, just sharing the outline of our plan with parents. And what I wanted to come across in the process was that this is a partnership. We're in it together. I have 3 children myself. One is in his 3rd year of college upstate. My middle son is entering junior year of high school, and my youngest is going into the 7th grade, the same age as the students that we supervise every day. And we may not have all the answers available at the moment. It is a work in progress, but I wanted to reassure our parents that it is a partnership. And I expect for our students in our schools, the same that I would expect for my own children and the work that's being done in their schools, that we're going to take the time and the care and the necessary approach to ensure that the kids are safe, that they're healthy, that they're engaged each day, and that there's a quality of instruction that accompanies the safety of our students. So we're in the process, we're in August. We have hopefully a month for this to continue so that we can build upon the outline with more secure structures and more secure protocols as information becomes available to us. But I wanted to reassure our parents that we are in this together. And, you know, we're parents ourselves with children this age or younger or older. And we want the best for our students in the same way that we want the best for our own children. So we're there in partnership with you.
Thank you very much. Hello, this is Principal Hasbury Signal. If I can just piggyback a little bit off of Principal Sirachi from PS 140 and working with PS 80 and PS 160 and PS 354. We've all been talking together as to how we're going to increase the voice of our parents in these plans that we're devising up. And one of the things that we've done, everything between engaging the community through Facebook Live, through live recordings, sending out phone calls and recording the information, just trying to meet our parents where they are so their voices can be heard and we can plan this together. We understand it's going to be a lot of bumps and bruises and everything, and we're here together, and there are going to be adjustments that are going to be made, but as long as we continue to communicate and meet everybody the best way that we can and expand upon that, we're all, just like everyone is saying, we're all going to be doing it together. So thank you everyone, especially the district, an awesome district to be a part of. So thank you very much.
Is there any other principals? Listen, we are so hyped and so happy that you guys are here.
Zita.
We are so, please, if there's any other principals, there's one on unmute yourself. Go for it. Miss Evelyn Vadi, go for it.
And Principal Rivera is here as well. You're muted.
You're muted, Miss Vadi.
Everyone, Principal Rivera here. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, go for it.
Say hi to everyone. We've been working on our reopening plan.
Which school are you with? Sorry?
First, excuse me?
Which school are you with?
PS 86.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Elementary school. So I just want to say hello to everyone. We're going to be holding a town hall meeting. I haven't sent out the blast yet. I'm about to send it out tomorrow. We're looking forward to getting feedback from all the parents. I have 2 surveys up now in the class dojo, and also has been emailed to parents just to get feedback, because we're taking the feedback in order to, you know, finish the plan before we submit it. So I'm looking forward to meeting with everyone and continuing to connect with the parents in order to come up with a plan that is like ironclad, where, you know, we can all succeed. Thank you. Can't wait for the next school year to begin.
Thank you, Principal Rivera.
All right, I'm Principal Vadi from CS 121. VJ's part of our team, and we've been working diligently since June, looking at the different options that the Chancellor has rolled out. So we're stuck between 2 plans that we're trying to make a decision once we find out how many children are going to go remote. But we've been also weighing in on all the safety systems that we're going to be putting into place to make sure, of course, that the children are safe. I know that, you know, being there for such a long time with the children, 32 years, I know the families and they trust me wholeheartedly. And I'm trying my best to make sure that we have safety as our top priority, and at the same time focusing on the education of the children and making sure that they receive the education that they deserve. So we are having our town hall meeting next week, because I want to make sure that when we meet with them, we can share information with regards to how many children are going remote, how many are not, so that we can make some really fine-tuned decisions when it comes to the instruction for the children. I just want to thank everyone, and thank you, VJ, and thank you, Superintendent Pate, for your support and for your team. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. We have Principal Askew, we have Principal Hicks, Principal Howell, Principal Grego, we have AP Bueno, we have AP, there's a couple of you all in, I think Mays is here.
Yes.
Dr. Pate, can I speak? VJ, can I speak?
Please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Raven Askew. I am the proud principal of PS 354. I want to first start by thanking Dr. Pate for everything she's been doing to keep principals organized. This has been a very trying summer for all of us, so thank you for your guidance. I want to shout out my principal colleagues who have been so invaluable to, you know, the work this summer. Our collective thoughts have really saved me from like jumping off of the proverbial ledge. It has really been helpful. But I also just want to shout out like the teachers in my school, and I'm sure across, you know, all of the schools in the district, they are all on summer vacation. There are no 12-month employed teachers unless you're working summer school. And I can say on behalf of my staff, if I send an email at 10 o'clock in the morning and I say like, I need some help, or I'm feeling overwhelmed, I need a thought partner, teachers are calling, they're texting, they're Zooming in, you know, with teachers on maternity leave, you know, from the beach, wherever they are, they're doing whatever they can. They are showing up to meetings. My school leadership team, we meet almost twice a week now. Like, I don't think I've ever spoken with, you know, parents this much over the summer, but, you know, it truly has been a collaborative effort. It feels really uncomfortable as principals. We have type A personalities. We like to have the whole year planned by August 15th. So not having the answers can sometimes give us anxiety, but just know that we are working so hard on your behalf. I have 2 children. I struggle with decisions. I struggle with not having information. So, you know, we are all in the same space together, but it's great to know that as like individual school communities and as a District 28 community, we're able to come together. So thank you guys for your collaborative efforts. And, you know, I'm confident we will be able to work this out in a safe manner. That's my 2 cents for the night.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Hi, this is Dr. Dueño. I'm an assistant principal, District 28. I'm a proud AP of PS 175. And I'm happy to give a shout out to my principal, Tushman, and to our staff. We have a reopening committee, which consists of a teacher, paraprofessional, school aide, parent coordinator, our payroll secretary, everyone's involved. We meet with SLT. We have our parents who are involved. We are a community, and I have to say that without their support and the support of the staff, we cannot move on. And I want to thank Dr. Pate as well as the staff, Shirley, Dr. Santos, Sonia, J.R. Sukan, for also bringing the APs into the meetings with the cohort and the principals. And I just want to give a shout out to District 28. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I know a lot of principals have spoken already. Hi, Dr. Pate. I feel like this is my time to do my commercial break. On Tuesday, PS80 will be holding another town hall at 10 o'clock. Valerie, correct me if I'm wrong, at 10 o'clock and again at 7 o'clock. We're inviting all the parents to come out and hear the most recent information. We've held one town hall already. We didn't get a great turnout. We're hoping we get more parents this time because we do want to hear what your input as we try to develop this plan. I don't know if this has already been said because I did log in a little late. I don't think we as principals could do this work without the parent coordinators. They have been phenomenal. Ms. Bird keeps stuff on Class Dojo. Everything that's happening, all information she posts on Class Dojo. So please make sure that you're looking at Class Dojo because if you are from 80, Ms. Bird makes sure that she keeps everything up to date on that site. We are flipping back and forth between 2 models. We're trying to figure out what works best for our parents. And we have been working as a group. So 354, 160, 140. We've been in a cohort together, and we've been bouncing ideas off each other because we serve the same population. We are Southside, and so we serve that same population of children, and we're trying to figure out how do we help to close the gap for our kids and help make things great for them. So I just want to say to Dr. Pate and her team, thank you for your support. Thank you for everything you've done for us since you've come on board. We are working as a team to figure out what just makes sense in this stuff, a lot of stuff that's not making sense. So thank you to Dr. Pate and her team for allowing us this platform to share.
Thank you. I was going to ask, thank you so much. I was going to ask all the principals who are going to speak, just keep it a little bit, maybe a minute and a half or so. We want to give everyone a chance to speak, but we also have some others who are on our agenda. So, but we are happy the principals are here. We want to hear from you. So if you are next, please unmute yourself, introduce your name and which school you're from, and go for it.
Hi, VJ. This is Principal Hicks from PS 160.
Hello.
I just wanted to first publicly thank all of the parents for their support during summer school. My site was the summer school site. We had around 227 students that attended summer school. Will be ending next week. And I saw some comments about, teacher preparation. So just know that the summer school staff that I had, they learned a brand new platform, which was I Learn NYC, in a matter of 2 days to get that up and running for students. They went to PD all summer as well to learn the new platform and new programs. So the teachers are definitely working over the summer, attending things. So I hope from this meeting today, you understand the dedication that not only the principals, APs, parent coordinators, all school staff, and teachers have to this district. And it really does take us as a community to be able to come together to move the pendulum forward and to create that shift that's needed. Most principals, we are now calling parents on our own just to find out answers to the survey, because we don't want to wait, because we cannot create a model until we know who's coming. So we're planning a party, but we have to know who's going to be at the party, so we know what to order, what to have, and to make sure that everybody is safe, and know that not one principal is getting a good night's sleep, because we are all carrying this weight on our shoulders to make sure that we open up safe schools for your students, and to try to make sure that everyone is happy and continues to be well. We do not want to go home and have to make any phone call saying your child is sick or something happened on our watch. So just know and understand that, and just be graceful, and we hope that you're as understanding of our plight as we are. We want to give you the answers, but we don't have them, so we're not going to tell you a false truth if we don't have the true information. So we only want to give you the right message the first time, so you don't hear wrong information. So again, thank you for your support throughout summer school for any parent who has attended, and I hope that I did the district justice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Principal Howell, PS 349, Magnet School for Leadership and Innovation through STEAM. I just want to say we're all in this together. The parents, the teachers, the administration, and we're all going to get through this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is John Grego from Mercer Sage. I just want to thank the superintendent team. I want to thank all the principals. I want to thank all the parents. We just had our town hall a couple of days ago. Just know that there are, for us, there's no more defined workday. That it's very comforting to know that if I think of something at like 9, 10, 11 o'clock, and I send out an email, I'm going to get a response from somebody, from the superintendent's office, from another principal. So we're all here, and we're all working hard. So thank you.
Thank you.
So true.
Okay, so anyone else?
Yes, hi, my name is Joan Thomas. I'm principal of PS 206 in Regal Park. And I'd like to thank Dr. Pate and her team for all the support that she has been given to us through this process. And I'd also like to thank all of my principal colleagues. What John said is true. We do email each other in the middle of the night, and we always get answers. And to the school community, my parents, my parent coordinator, you guys have been amazing, supporting and listening and keeping your deadlines. And I'm sorry for all the emails and the messages and stuff, but we really want to get this right, and we will get this right. So thank you for your time, and I'm going to put myself on mute again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So if there's no one else, I want to say why this was not part of our agenda, but I felt it was important because the work that you are all doing, it requires a lot of yourself. So we would like to have that. We'd love to see that our leaders in our community, they are in sync. And as a parent of 3 kids in my community, seeing my principals in my community district so in sync and they're a team working for the same goal, it's reassuring. So thank you all for being here. We're going to continue with our agenda. The next person we have to speak today is council members. So I'm going to go to the council members, and if they have a report, they will give a report really quickly. The first person I'll start off with is Elena Amenova. She's our second vice president, and she is the chairperson of our Return to School or Back to School committee. Elena?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. So as a follow-up to actually our July meeting, we have heard that the topic of back to school was as your primary concern and at the top of your minds. So it's by no surprise that the topic that we just have heard about is all about back to school. So as a result of last month's meeting, we actually formed a brand new back to school committee, and which I'm chairing, and we have other members, obviously Howard and Barbara on the committee. And you can reach out to us if there are any specific questions that have not yet been answered. But the first line of business, as we decided as a committee, is to reach out to Dr. Pate, who is a great and phenomenal partner. And she immediately agreed to invite all of the principals back here tonight, which obviously we all enjoyed hearing directly from them about the plans to return back to school safely and what their plans are. Original idea was let's hear from all the principals. Obviously that would have been impossible about each individual schools, but I'm actually excited to see that there's collaboration and such tight communication among the schools, and these cohorts have been created. So, thank you, Dr. Pate, for your great leadership, and all the principals, assistant principals, and our amazing parent coordinators who, without whom this would not have been possible tonight. We know that now many schools have done walkthroughs within the schools, met with their school leadership team meetings, even though we know that, July and August meetings are not on the agenda for SLTs, right? But there's been a lot of schools that have been meeting with their SLTs, as well as doing a lot of the town halls across the schools. I've personally attended a few of the town halls within the districts, and also have actually seen some videos that the principals have been recording, self-recording. That was phenomenal to see as well, to see those video messages coming in. And, the amazing detailed messages that our parent coordinators are sending out. So again, kudos to everyone. Communication is key, and we appreciate the frequent communication that are being sent out across District 28. I always say our district is a special one. And again, I think the result of this back to school committee is what we have just witnessed in this meeting. And again, a true appreciation to all the cohorts, all the principals, and all the collaboration that is happening. That's my update.
Thank you so much. Next, I'll call on Howard Pollack.
Thank you, VJ. I just want to thank the chair of my committee, Elena Amenova, and the committee members, Erica and Barbara, for doing wonderful work in getting our back to school committee up and running. I especially want to thank Dr. Pate, without whose efforts this meeting would not have happened. She was instrumental in realizing our vision of ensuring that principals attended, assistant principals attended. We're just very grateful for her and her team. I'm a proud member of the Back to School Committee and the Equity Committee. I'm also the CEC representative to the Diversity Plan Working Group that D28 is having. I was part of a meeting recently where the DOE discussed coming up with or renewing the Diversity Working Group. DOE wanted us to realize that this is not going to end, that we are going to continue this process. However, it probably will continue virtually or remotely
towards the start of the school year. But first, the DOE wants to poll all the working group members to make sure that they want to continue to be on the working group, because obviously this process is going to last longer than originally intended. They informed us that they will extend or seeking to extend their contract with WXY. I'm not sure in terms of the contract itself, what that will entail, how much money it will be. I will try and find out. Right now, those facts I do not have. I have confirmed with WXY that they are indeed in talks with DOE to be the sponsor and coordinator of the Diversity Plan Working Group in D28. When I have more details concerning the next meetings, the composition of the working group, etc., I will get that for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Howard. Next, we'll have Erica Cooper.
Yes, hello. How you doing? Thanks everyone for showing up. Again, Dr. Pate, thank you for this tremendous opportunity to have the principal here in our forum. I am a member of the Back to School Committee, as well as the Safety Committee, the Equity Committee, and these committees were all put together because we wanted to make sure that we were able to cover every avenue. And part of the Back to School Committee, as you saw today, we were able, as Elena had mentioned, to get the principals involved. We want you to know that this is an ongoing process. We want the families to be aware of the information that's out there so they can make an informed decision. And, you know, again, reach out to us, reach out to your school. If you haven't heard or if you're not sure of some things, that's the purpose of us having these meetings and this dialogue to continue. So at this time, I also attended the presidential presidential council meeting, which was very informative, and just again to help with getting everybody back to school. So at this time, that's all I have to report.
Thank you all for your great work. Next we're gonna have is Ted Chang.
Hi, everybody. I'll just keep it short. I just wanted to mention, I wanted to thank the President's Council from 27, 28, and 29 yesterday for putting on a great presentation. It was fantastic to hear the superintendents of all the different districts give presentations, so we get a little bit of a flavor for all of that. And the President's Council has been a wonderful partner for the CEC, and we just want to thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Micah Morrison from the Safety Committee.
Thank you, Vijay. It's of course wonderful to be with you all. I was so impressed. It was such a great thing to hear all the principals, and it was such a wonderful moment. I think that as a member of the CEC and as chair of the school safety committee, we have been examining my colleagues on the school safety committee, Barbara Williams and Erica Cooper, and we have been engaging across the spectrum of DoD on school safety. As everyone knows, and as Principal Burns so eloquently reported, there's a tremendous amount of information flowing at us now at school safety. Our main concern, I think, for the entire year really is, will our kids be safe in school? And you see by the percentage of families that are indicating they're going to keep the kids out of school, that there's a significant percentage of the community that feels the schools are not safe. So what we've done, we're going to continue to monitor and develop ways of getting information to you fast. What we've done already is on the CEC website, we have created a special section for school safety updates. And we're going to be updating that every week as we go down the line, and more if necessary. We got to get our kids into school, and then of course there's going to be school safety concerns throughout the year. So really, I think when we talk to the parents, when we talk to the community, there's one real concern this year. Can we get through the school year? Can we keep our kids safe? That's really, to me, that's the be all and end all. And I'll say very quickly, you know, I just heard Howard Pollack report on the WXY issue, which you all know was a huge issue before. My feeling is that should be suspended for a year. the idea that WXY is going to come in and seek more money when DOE is cutting millions from our contract really, I think, is a non-starter, is outrageous. I'll have more to say to that. I don't want to take up the time now. I'll have more to say to that in the CEC business meeting, which you can all attend. Right now, we need to think about safety first, safety second, safety third. Can we get our kids into school? Can we reassure parents who don't want their kids in school that maybe it's going to be safe, and if they don't want to do it, that's fine. And that's a year-long project, if not more. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Mike. To all the principals here, to all the parent coordinators, etc., send us information. If you have new information for your school, you have new updates about what's happening, we'll be happy to post it on our website, our CEC website. Our amazing administrative assistant, Kreyòl Ayisyen, who is on board with us tonight here, she is waiting for your emails. Send us updates, send us any cohort information. Dr. Ppe can also send us any information you sent to her so we can inform parents. We have a lot of parent traffic on our website. So please, please, please send us any information. We'll gladly share it on our website too. So moving right along, I would like to call upon our President's Council. We have both of them are on tonight and they will take over at this time. President's Council.
Thank you. Good evening, VJ. Thank you for having us,
Shirley.
council members. Hello. Thank you for having us this evening. Can I share my screen?
Yes.
Would I be able to share my screen? Okay, thank you. So I'm Shirley Orban. I'm co-president of the President's Council, and Jessica Zillow is co-president with me, and she is going to do our presentation tonight. So I'm going to hand it over to her. Go ahead, Jessica.
Jessica is joining us, yeah?
Sorry, I've unmuted myself.
There
Now
you
I
are.
can- So again, welcome. So our presentation today, the importance of being part of the 2020 school reopening discussions. And this is put together by both Shirley and myself, and we're the co-presidents for the President's Council. So the ultimate goal as a community, a parent, teacher, school staff, and a school administrator is to be able to make informed decisions about our children. We just want to make sure that you're having discussions with your school regarding the 2020 return to school. Are you filling out surveys and feedback requests from your school and DOE? Are you actively seeking out information from your school, union, or PA or PTA? And knowledge is power. So in regards to return to fall planning, so why it is important for you to be involved in your school reentry plans. It was great to sort of hear all the information that was already shared. And so just below, we've put down a few considerations such as safety. Like, do you know the safety measures and cleaning protocols, which we just heard a lot about? What is your role, your child's role, and the school's role in keeping everyone safe? Entering and leaving the school building, and if your child gets sick or someone else is sick, what happens? In regards to planning discussions, what the school day will look like regardless of your choice, because it is a choice. Breakfast and lunch, when in school and or in remote learning setting. Is your school open or informational discussions with the school community? Do you know the classroom setting, gym, recess? What will the remote learning platform look like? Who is teaching in the classroom and in the remote learning environment? In regards to after school programs, what is happening with that? Transportation and live instructional learning. And the last one is the planning models and cohorts, which we saw earlier today. So that was great. So there are 5 models, and do you understand what they are? We're hoping you do understand, since we were given a great presentation earlier. And you know what days your child will be in a classroom versus learning remotely if you choose blended learning. So just some considerations to think about as we do the fall planning. The learning preference survey. So as a reminder, the survey is due tomorrow. So make sure you fill it out if you would like to prefer to do remote learning. The school year 2021, this fall your child's school will offer a combination of in-person and remote learning, and you can choose from 2 options. So you can either do 100% remote learning, so you can opt to have your child learn 100% remotely, or you can do a combination of in-person and remote learning, AKA blended learning. Your child can follow their school schedule, a mix of in-person days at school and remote learning days from home. And again, if you go to the Return to School 2020 page on the website, on the DOE website, there's definitely a lot more information as well. If you are looking at changing preferences, so if you choose 100% remote learning but want to change your child's preference back to blended learning, complete this form again by August 7th. After August 7th, any family who chooses 100% remote learning will have the option to change back to blended learning at a few specific times during the school year, and it will be quarterly. So you make sure that if you want to do all remote learning, you understand that you can only re-enter the school on in a certain time period. The form does not apply to charter schools. If your child attends a charter school, please reach out to the school directly to discuss remote learning options. And again, we have a link for the survey that is listed here as well. And the survey is open it was open from July 15th to tomorrow. If you do not fill out the survey, it is assumed that you want your child to go to in-person classes at the school. And again, we have a couple of more links. One is for the DOE guidelines and the other one is the return to school months. And I believe that is actually the end of our presentation. And I just again want to say thank you very much. And as President's Council, we are always happy to be here to present.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time and your patience and waiting on. We always look forward to collaborating, and we'll continue to work as a team to bring the best information to all of our parents. Even if it's repeated, it's okay. Let's get it out, right? At this time, my dear friends, we are going to go ahead and I am on the schedule to give a report. My report is just this. I think our principals are doing a great job in our community. I think our superintendent is doing a great job. I think parents have to also want to know, right? We can only do so much and put the surveys out and do the phone calls. I will encourage all our parent coordinators to really, reach out to the schools, parents, and we inform them of what's happening. Members of my community don't know. They just don't know what the options are. And I know everyone is doing the best that they could do to inform all the parents. So keep up the great job, the great work. And this time we'll move to the public comment section. And I will move up to the little screen here. The first person we have who will ask a question is Angela Robinson. Please unmute yourself and ask your question, Angela.
She might have dropped off because she said she had another meeting at 8 o'clock. So,
okay. Sure.
Thank you.
You here?
Hello?
Okay. Can we mute everyone else again?
Yep, 1 second.
Thank you. The next person we have is Allison Bell.
Oh, okay. Hello.
Hi, Allison. Are you there?
No, this is Angela.
Yes, I'm in. Yes, I'm here.
Sorry, Angela, you're here. You're here back, Angela? Yeah.
Yes.
So Allison, 1 second, please. Just go to Angela.
It's a quick question. Are the same teachers teaching all of the students from the same, like A, B, and C groups, or will you have each teacher for each group? Are you hiring extra teachers, or are they hiring extra teachers to teach the various groups?
Dr. Pate?
So the intention is that teachers, your normal children's teachers, will teach across the school. We are waiting to get an agreement between the Department of Education and UFP with regard to teachers teaching both while teaching in a blended model. in-person and remote. But right now, our planning is consistent with our teachers, the teachers who are assigned to the school being the teachers for your children. If there's a vacancy, of course, we're hiring, but that's about it.
Okay, so like if I was a teacher, I would go in 5 days a week to teach group A, B, and C. And then the online teacher would be a different teacher?
Right, it depends on how you're going to be assigned. There are teachers who are going to be fully in person, and there are teachers who are fully remote, and then there's probably going to be a hybrid in between. But because we don't have a written guidance, I'm hesitating on saying that's the way it's going to be. I don't want to give bad information.
Okay, thank you.
So Allison, please go ahead. Allison.
Yes, hi, good evening. I'm seeing across some states that already open schools that there are cases that children and staff have, caught the coronavirus and they had to shut down. What is the protocol if one of the schools, a student, a staff member, catches the virus? What is the protocol for that? Are they going to shut down the school, the classroom? Like, what is the protocol? Because it's happening across, the United States now.
Right. Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I've been waiting to talk to you really quickly. I'm going to try to go fast because it's a lot. So our governor, Governor Cuomo, has required every state, a city that desires to reopen, to create a test and trace committee. And that test and trace committee or team lives within the Department of Health. And their sole job is to ensure that any cases of COVID, of coronavirus, is tested, like a confirmed test, and they can trace it to see whether it's in a building or not. What is publicly available, what was shared last week and this week, is this scenario. A child tests positive or an adult tests positive. The test and trace, first of all, will immediately begin to figure out, one, confirm that there's a actual COVID case and not just flu. After they confirm that, immediately, those who are in immediate contact or close contact, which is considered within 6 feet for more than 10 minutes at a time, will automatically be quarantined. In other words, if I am a child in a class and I come down and I'm COVID positive, everyone in my classroom, including my teacher, will go into quarantine for 14 days and must test negative in order to return to school. If more than one child in a school or more than one person tests positive in a school, the school is automatically closed for 24 hours so that they can do test and trace and, of course, deep cleaning. They need to assess whether the spread is within the building or if it's two siblings who had a party, and came back positive. Sorry, I'm trying to keep it short.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next person we have is Kate Fenton.
Hello, good evening, everybody. First and foremost, I'd like to say Black Lives Matter. And secondly, I would like to say I'm so proud of all the work that we've been doing over at PS354 in order to get our planning together to get the babies back into school. Now, with that being said, with the models that were offered by the Chancellor, I guess he's the one that came up with it. I don't know that's who put it out. I don't really see any back-to-back models. Like, okay, District 75 has the full week. We understand that District 75 has the full week because those kids are special needs learners and they get a lot of services and there's a lot of moving pieces with them. But I feel like the models that were put out, none of the models took into consideration our young scholars, our kindergartners, and our first graders who need way more than just 1 day here, 2 days home, 1 day there, 2 more days back home. I don't feel like any of the models took those young scholars into consideration. What will be the boundaries that we'll have to overcome in order to adjust the model if we feel like we need to dedicate one of the models closer to the younger scholars than, let's say, the 5th graders, because you can't plan for a kindergartner the same way you could plan for a 5th grader.
Want to grab it?
Dr. Pate?
Yes. So that, thank you for sharing that question with us, because that is exactly what we have been grappling with. We also have 3 pre-K centers, and so it is a different kind of structure for younger scholars, younger students. And one of the things that was two really big wins that we gained this week is that the Chancellor decided to accept exceptions that change the rotation schedule. So if a school said, you know what, I like 1B or I like 2, but we don't like the rotation schedule, as long as it's still true to the model, those exceptions would be approved. The second is that he also approved exceptions that said, we want to use the D75 model. This is hot off the press, principals. We want to use the D75 model, but we are not a D75 school. So we want to have kids in school for a full week and follow the next cohort for a full week and follow the next cohort. And so those were also late today given approval. So that's one way you can address it while keeping inside the Chancellor's model and make the adjustments for children at different developmental stages.
Can I just ask a little rebuttal for some clarity? So let's say, for example, we like the model where you're rotating Mondays, and then group A is Tuesday, Wednesday, group B is Thursday, Friday. But we don't like rotating Mondays. We want to rotate on Friday or Wednesday, let's say. I don't know.
Those are going to be approved.
Right. So it will be approved. Okay.
Yes.
Because SLT has been in constant communication between teachers and parents, and we like them,
right?
But a lot of them are not perfect for our community.
So that was bubbling up following a lot of our parent engagement meetings. It bubbled up from our survey. We've been talking to Central about that, and just yesterday and today. Yesterday they approved rotations, changing the rotation, and today they approved the D70 model for non-D75 schools. So those are 2 really big wins for us. So thank you for bringing that point up.
All right, and I appreciate that, because that was the main topic of conversation for, you know, our planning meetings of trying to figure out what model fit best for our community.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Philip Diab. Philip, D-I-A-B, Diab. Okay, we'll move right along. Next person we have is Nathifa Lewis.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks for being here.
So my question, and Dr. Pate responded a little bit to it, related to multiples and other situations like that. And I know you mentioned that at the school level it should be there, but I wanted to bring it to the district meeting, because I know the policy for a lot of schools is to keep multiples separate. And I understand there's like the educational part for it if they're not on the same levels, etc. But and you can request exemptions if you have like medical or other things, but the process is a little bit strenuous, almost like trying to get an IP. I wanted to know if, because of COVID, like in my case, I have multiples. I'm actually moving back into the public system. And if they're on a similar level or so forth, is it something that has been taken into account in the parts? Because it's going to minimize, if I choose, I'm choosing the blended model, it's going to minimize who they're exposed to, and not even just that they're going on the same days, which when I brought it up at the school level was discussed, but even actually being in the same cohort, because even if you're in 2 cohorts, that's double the, you know, the exposure, the thing.
No, that has been a subject of numerous conversations. So, so parents with multiple children who are either in the same school or in different schools, like, think about the different schools. That's going to be really challenging. We're committed to doing the best that we can. But within the building, we are trying to keep siblings, even if they're on different grades, in the same cohort group. So they will be in cohort A, 6, 7, or 5, 1 to 5. They will be in the same cohort A. That minimizes obviously,
Right.
traffic and the weight on the family, but it also helps us to keep our cohorts tight in terms of testing.
But in that, in particular, I'm talking about like having actual twins. So I have twins. So
Yeah.
I'm talking not just about like multiples, you know, in the
Right.
same thing, but in that same.
You know
grade,
what?
we need to be-
You know, we don't like to normally put our twins into the same classroom, but I can imagine that principals would be open to that conversation, especially given this very specific situation, right? It is not generally a good practice to put them in the same grade because of the mimicking and expectation and all of these other things. We don't want either twin to feel the weight of whatever action is going on with their sibling. But in this particular instance, speak with the principal and let's see what we can do in terms of keeping the babies together. Sorry, I'm assuming they're babies. They could be like.
Well, they're going into 5th grade, so they're not quite.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person we have is Simone Dunbar. Simone, are you there?
Yes, sorry, I pressed the wrong button.
You're good. Happy you're here.
I'm here. Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Pate and her team for the hard work she's doing to keep us informed. For the principals, there were so many principals. I'm really happy to see you all here, and thank you so much for taking the time to inform us and to give us a sense of safety. And of course to Sonia Rueda, who keeps us informed, the PAs and PTAs and the President's Council, and a big thank you to our very own parent coordinator, Janie Hackman, who is also attending today.
Yes.
It is a very difficult time, and it helps so much to know that there are so many people working really hard to ensure that our kids can go back safely to school. Thank you. And also a big thank you to the CEC for organizing this. And my question that I have to the CEC is, you created an equity committee in July, which I was really, really happy about. I think this is a great idea. My question is, how are you using that equity team to educate yourself on topics about anti-racism so that you can also educate us parents in the district, so that you can also ensure that this topic will stay relevant in our schools and our community, even when it doesn't make the news anymore? I just would like to hear from you, from the CEC, how you commit yourself to this topic, because I feel that this is very important. Just like going back safely to school, I also feel that this is a very important topic that should be not ignored. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's pass that question to the chairperson of the Equity Committee, Ted Chang.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Simone. I think it's definitely one of the things that will be part of what the Equity Committee is doing. We do need to educate ourselves as a CEC. I think the reality is a lot of us are sort of just, regular parents, and a lot of us may not be very well versed on some of these topics like anti-racism and, equity and inclusion. These are all things that, it does take a little while to, become versed in, and it's not something that is automatically obvious to every person. And so I think that is, hopefully one of the things that the committee will do. With so much stuff going on, I don't know how we're going to work it all in, but I do hope that we can find ways to find topics to educate our community and the council itself. Thank you for the question.
And Simone, also, I want to say to you, we are committed to feedback from the community. These committees were formed as a result of the feedback from the committee. So again, keep telling us what we had a parent who had sent 3 topics that she wanted us to talk about, and before the pandemic, we had people present on those things, right? So feel free to email our council and let us know, hey, can you all present on this? Can you all have a meeting on this? And we will take feedback. This is a community engagement, right? This is not the VJ's council or TED's council. This is community education council, community. So we'll pull who we got to pull together to make it happen. So we are listening. So thank you for your feedback always, and we're looking forward to collaborating more with you and all of our members across our district to highlight your concerns and to address them ultimately. Thank you. Next person we have is Odessa Engels.
Hi, how you doing?
Hello.
So, my question is, I know one of the ladies already spoke about younger grades, but for me, I don't think it was fully clear. But I have a child who will be coming in as pre-K, and then I have a child who is exiting in 5th grade. So I wanted to know, what is the plan for arrival and an exiter? What is because she will be attending junior high school. So what is educational goals for my 5th grader? And what is the plan for the pre-K? Because we know pre-K has a different set of rules compared to K through 5. But what is the plan for pre-K and 5th grade who is leaving?
Right. So I hope that you have had some engagement with our pre-K. Our pre-K director is not here at the moment. She is on an annual leave and will be re-engaging, but they are meeting with families to explore and have a conversation about what intake looks like. I want to make sure I understand the question. Do you mean like how they come into the building and how do we support them? Or are you talking about academic?
Will they be at, everything across the board? Will they be running with the same schedule as K through 5 or K through 12? Will
No. Right.
will
So
they have
yeah. So pre-K and
I need
4th.
to be able to set up my life and my children's life, right? So I can move forward. So like, I don't know what September may bring me. So I need to know what I need to put in place. And I feel like there's no answers. There's no educational answers for my 5th grader, because I need her to get where she needs to get. And then there's nothing for my newcomer who's never sat in a classroom at all.
So first things first, I'm going to ask you to outreach to your children's, the schools that they're going into. I need you to outreach to the principal and the parent coordinator. If you don't have those names, Sonia, please put your email address into the chat.
No, I'm very well. I'm fully.
I'm sorry. I'm
involved
not
in
assuming
it.
anything. That's the point. I'm not. Please believe me. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just don't want to assume anything. The schools themselves, they will have an outline plan. Like we shared before, we have an agreement around how children will come into a building, how they will move around the building, how they will leave a building. In every single instance, there will be sort of an entry stop point where children come into the school. Because you have a pre-K and those are babies, there will be folk who are there to usher them to the classroom and take them through the process of temperature check and also ensuring that their mask and other PPE is available and on. They'll take them through hand washing. They'll walk them to the classroom. They'll ensure that their breakfast is in place, because breakfast will be in the classroom with a bag, as will be for our older kids. But know that babies will get the additional attention that they absolutely require across every single school. With regard to academics and the expectations coming forward, outreach to the principals to see what's the on-ramp. And then they are also are able to share the curriculum and the instruction for the year. You have to make sure that you have login information and that you can access all of the online platforms, and we will ensure that happens. We also will ensure that if there's a technology need, and now I'm talking to the entire group here, that the school is that source. And if you run into any issue with regard to getting those things done, please email the district so that we can be advocates for you and to ensure that you're not in a place where you can't make informed decisions. Parent to parent, that is a nightmare. We don't want that.
Thank you. Next person we're going to move on to is Melissa Mancuso.
Hi. Thank you so much to the CEC for organizing this evening. Thank you to the school leaders, the principals and assistant principals. It was so great to hear from you about what you're planning for this year at such a difficult time. To Shirley and Jessica from the President's Council, thank you so much for keeping us informed. And to Dr. Pate and your team, thank you for your outreach and your engagement with families and all that you're doing to plan for the opening of this year at this really challenging time. My questions are about students returning and thinking about them getting the kind of instruction they need that's targeted, whether it's with reading, math, or social emotional skills, because we know that students are going to be coming in whether things have been happening. Yep, exactly, Venus, RTI-AIS. What kind of assessments are the schools in the district going to be using as schools enter? The MOSL, those results may not be ready until late October, early November. That's 7-8 weeks lost. So how will teachers, whether they're teaching blended or remote, how will they get quick information about their students to know if they need reading intervention, math intervention, in the classroom or by specialists? Will they need support because of trauma that they've experienced at home or in their immediate area? And how will the schools in the district know that they have access to the training, to the materials, to the specialists who have the training to do that kind of instruction, where it's needed, when it's needed?
Right. That is a few questions, and Melissa, I'm going to jump in as much as I can recall. I'm going to ask Sue to unmute so that we can try to get each of those points. And so let's be partners in this. So with regard to formative assessments and figuring out what we know or don't know about students as they enter and in the fall semester. First, we've retained our partnerships with iReady. We've retained our partnership with Map Growth to the best of my knowledge. And also there are all of our curriculum that is all now digital, have assessment pieces, which are like baseline assessments. Because this is all automated, the turnaround with regard to assessment and then analyzing, of course, that takes a little longer. So the assessment is just sort of like, what's the raw score? What is it telling us? And then teachers using that 30 minutes a day of professional learning will work to analyze that data and to figure out where we start and how the groupings will look for children. So we are being intentional with regard to figuring out what we know and what we don't know. I am very aware, as are all of us on this call, that there's a gap in our knowledge with regard to where children are really and truly at this moment, which means we've got to hit the ground running. And then so as soon as they come into the school building, that process begins. I'm going to say even before that is our cell work. So most of our schools have included periods of time during the school day to really dig into social emotional learning, and that will happen with scenarios, that will happen with teaming, that will happen with not so much Q&A, lots of activities that help us to unpack and figure out where our children are. As we identify children who have experienced trauma, there are related services providers who are there, as well as our Borough Central Office, our BCO, with an entire team that is at our disposal to pull in to do sort of crisis support for our children, and in some instances for our families. We won't let anyone sort of just exist in the trauma space. And we were earlier today, I had a snippet of a news report where Michelle Obama is doing a podcast and talked about experiencing depression. And if the former First Lady of the United States of America can cop to and is experiencing depression, can you only imagine what our children who have been captive in our homes for 6 months are experiencing? So we are keenly aware of the fact that we have to focus on social emotional well-being as well as our academic support of our children. Sue, do you want to?
I just want to add that with the assessment, the iReady is assessing the baseline, and the computer application will automatically set the responsive intervention at their entry level. So it is very important that parents, that you are encouraging and ensuring that your children are really on you know, the online to get instruction from iReady, because iReady is one of the application that is most closely mirrored to the state you know, criteria. So I would really encourage you to ensure that your children is on the iReady or whichever platform that the school has adopted to do so. Other than that, you know, teachers are definitely spending time, you know, in small groups, doing small group intervention for students who are below the performance level. And they are also some schools are setting time in the cohort where certain days are really dedicated to response to intervention. So, but definitely your partnership is crucial. Work with the teachers, you know, there is 20 minutes dedicated time every day in the school schedule for you to call your classroom teacher, so your child's classroom teacher. So that 20 minutes is crucial. Call the teacher via phone, or through email or on Zoom, so that you are closely informed of where your children's performance is and how, you know, your child is receiving support and how you can also support your child at home. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. The person we have is Effie Zachary.
Good evening. I want to thank VJ and the CEC28 members for arranging this and for all the principals for attending, especially Dr. Pate. The first part I have is, I think it's more of a suggestion rather than a question, but then I have a question after that. So my understanding of remote learning, it's going to be probably some live instruction and some, what I've seen in the past is recorded videos by the teachers and occasionally references to other videos that have been recorded, let's say on Brain Pop or Khan Academy or anything on the topic. So my suggestion, and I'm kind of wondering how it's not been done, just for, this is I guess a message to Central, to be more efficient, wouldn't it make sense to get a committee of teachers for each subject? And instead of, I mean, what I've seen is like, for let's say for Algebra 1 right now, each teacher recorded his or her own video. Why have thousands of different versions on exactly the same topic? Wouldn't it make more sense? I mean, the live instruction is one thing, but for the videos, wouldn't it make more sense to choose a few great teachers who have very good presentation skills and know the subject well, let them record it, and then everybody in the city can watch it? Not to mention this promotes equity. The same student in any neighborhood has access to the same great teacher on that subject. Why do we need thousands of different versions on exactly the same topic? We'll free the time of the teachers to do other things instead of to be busy recording things that one person can do. And the same thing for, like, let's say Khan Academy or Brain Pop, any kind of videos, have a committee that will choose, like, you know, kind of scour the internet and choose, this is the best 2 or 3 videos we chose on this topic, whatever it is, cell division, let's say in science. Why have each teacher reinvent the wheel over and over and over again? I think it's very wasteful. The teacher, you know, if a few people do it on a central level in the city, they can share the information, and then the teacher will have more time to devote to the live instructions, to, you know, like more one-on-one time with students who are struggling, things like that. And again, everybody in the city can equally benefit. What a great chance to promote equity across the city. So that's my suggestion. If you want to comment, or should I just go to my next question?
Just go for the question now, Zachary, and then we'll just, after you finish, then we'll respond.
Okay, my question is regarding the masks. So I do believe that the mask reduce the chance of transmissions and all that. I don't think that's, I mean, the CDC and the health organization, the WHO, they went back and forth on that, but I think now pretty much people believe that the masks are helping. My question is this: I heard from several doctors that most of the surgical masks people use are good for about 40 to 45 minutes. So if I'm putting it to go down to the car and then I go shopping and I'm half an hour in the supermarket or the drugstore or whatever, that's okay, that's what it's for. Now, for a student to sit down with the same mask for maybe 6 or 7 hours, even if there's a few mask breaks in between, there might be a serious health hazard. I'm wondering if anybody has even research to address that. I know that if you wear a surgical mask, even for 10 or 20 minutes, your oxygen level starts to drop tremendously down. Instead of being about 90 to 20%, which is regular air, it drops down to 15 or 16, which is considered hazardous to your health. So, you know, because you're building up carbon dioxide as you're breathing in, because you don't have complete ventilation, the mask is blocking it and the oxygen level is going
Zachary,
down.
3 minutes has reached, I'm sorry.
All right, so is there any consideration, any research, has anyone looked into what's the hazard of wearing a mask for a very long time in the school?
Thank you. Dr. Pate?
So that, you gave us a lot to think about. One, to your first suggestion, I think it's brilliant. And I think that that's something that folks should be thinking about with regard to putting the best resources in front of children. I don't consider the teacher made videos to be a waste of effort, because you know the students well, the students are familiar with the teacher, and the accountability and connection to the content is different. But I do agree that there are great resources out there. I know that you all are putting them in the chat. There's some great resources. I've had my kids on Khan Academy since they were younger. Great resources. With regard to mask wearing, I'm going to tell you 100%. Because I am not a medical professional, I am absolutely using the DOH guidance and CDC guidance as that's my handy dandy notebook, for those of you who remember Dora. Anyway, there you are. That is my guidance with regard to what is the expectation for wearing masks throughout the day and what is safe and right for children. So as medical professionals continue to give us that information, and as research is being produced, then we're going to take that, and that will be true for our schools. Again, I am not a medical professional, right?
Right. Maybe
You
can liaison for us with the health department. Just ask them how, you know, what are the consequences? They look into it.
No, absolutely. It's a very good point, and so thank you for raising it here.
Yeah, imagine if in October we find out that that's tremendous damage to the brain of children. What, you know, that would be a horrible thing.
Well, in a month, if that were, okay. Yes, I get your point. Absolutely. I get it, and thank you so much.
Yeah, please convey my message to the right
Thank you,
people.
Zachary. Thank you. Next person we have is Adejoke Filani. Adejoke Filani. It's Adejoke. Filani, F-I-L-A. Going once, going twice. Adejoke Filani, Adejoke Filani. Okay, next person we have is Jacqueline Ramos.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
I have a question. My daughter is transitioning from the 5th grade onto the 6th grade. She graduated PS8 and is going to another school. I received an email on the 4th notifying me that to return the DOA computer or iPad that I received back to the school. However, she needs it. Why don't they just let her keep that one?
Right.
Instead of sending it back to the old school.
Sonia, unmute, because Sonia is doing a lot of work across the district with this very subject.
Good evening. So thank you for bringing that question. That's like the $1 million question. At this point, I know that I'm working you know, tirelessly with Central. We are telling our families to hold on to the device, to hold on to them until we get more clarification in terms of what's going to happen, because if you decide to keep your child in remote learning, you need to have that device with you, right? And
we are opting for that.
Correct. So you need to hold on to your device until we find out specifically what's happening with students. I know that you said you received an email, but as you receive that email, they're still working on finding out if logistically that makes sense. So email me. I put my email in the chat, and I will let you know what the final verdict is when they get back to me regarding that. But for now, just hold on to the device.
And I just have one more question. Both of my daughters are going to the same school. One is a 6th grader, one is an 8th grader. I know they have different sections like A, B, C. The school that she's going to is Jekyll, so they have like I think they're gonna do 2B, where they go 2 days a week, and then do the rest remote learning, like 6 days. But the way they explain it to me is like one group will do Monday, Tuesday. Will they make like exceptions for siblings so that, you know, I don't have to send one.
So they can be on the same rotation. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Are the schools working on that, or is it a possibility that they will
School
be
is-
separated?
Yes, the school has that understanding. Please make sure you just express that to the school, to the parent coordinator, who will facilitate that for you. We don't want to have siblings separate on different days coming into the same building. We want to ensure that they are on the same date. And can I just jump and just say, so thank you, Ms. Ramos. Let me jump in and just say, someone posted Melissa posted about Teaching Matters. If you have not accessed their site, Teaching Matters, and you are looking for enrichment materials for your children, hands down, it is one of the most comprehensive tools that I have experienced. And I'm not just saying that because I love the company, but because they do really good work. Teaching Matters, you can put your children on it. It is exceptional.
Can I have one more question? Just one more.
Okay, go ahead.
Live streaming. Will the teachers be live streaming? That'll be great. So the kids that stay home, remote learning, they won't feel like they're missing anything. If you know, that'd be really great.
Right. We are working on it. We are awaiting an agreement between the Department of Education and the U of T.
Okay.
We also advocate for live streaming. It's a wonderful idea.
Great. Thank you, guys.
So thank you all very much. This has brought us to the end of our calendar meeting. It was a great, succinct, timely, informative meeting. We allowed everyone to speak as they would like to. Just so that you know, going forward also, for anyone who wants to speak, we do have a cutoff time to put your name on the list to speak. So we will take only those speakers who we have on record already. Again, parents, please share the word. A lot of times, parents know other parents, right? Spread the word, call, text, WhatsApp, Facebook, and share the information about the deadline tomorrow to opt out of the blended learning and to choose only remote learning. We will have our next meeting in September. Again, we're looking forward to see all of you. The next meeting will be on September 3rd, Thursday, September 3rd. We want to thank all the principals who showed up here. As you can hear, principals, our community needs you. You are the face, you are the ones that we entrust our kids with. Seeing your faces on this call over here means a lot to our parents, our community partners, and it shows also you can hear what the community concerns are when you hear directly from the parents asking questions. I will encourage more of the parent coordinators to join also. I'll just ask Sonia Rueda if there's anything you want to add, Sonia, really quickly.
Good evening. No, I'm just, very excited, as I know all of you are. Many of our parent coordinators are taking advantage of going on vacation, which is a foreign word for many of us. So know that that's why some of them are not here this evening. But, it's just great to feel that community love and that passion within this space. And so I thank you.
It's all staycations, right? We're staying in place, right? Don't answer your phone, I'm joking. Last but not least, I am on the side where the DOE and all superintendents, they're doing the best they could do with what information they have. So we can't, really go heavy hard on them and say they're not doing enough. Everyone is trying their best to do with what they have. So I want to say thank you to the DOE and the leadership for actually trying to have plans in place, have things ready in case we get the okay to go back. Again, the governor has to give us the okay still. But I think we have great plans. I think we have to try it, right? And parents, keep doing the great work you're doing, and you are your child's best protector. Thank you. You can unmute, and you can say bye-bye to everybody and say hi's, and then we'll end the call in approximately 5
Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good evening. Thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to say thank you to all D28 principals for showing up. Hey, Shirley. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Ms. Manjares. Thank you. Ms. Cox is here. Thank you, everybody.
A reflection of our leadership.
Ms. Lottie.
Dr. Pate, we are a reflection of our leadership. You are doing a fantastic
What? I'm a reflection of our leadership. Tell the truth. Reflection of our leadership. Dr. Lasaint, thank you. Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you. AP Mays, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I appreciate you so very, very much. Dr.
Thank you,
Santos, thank you so very much.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
PJ and CEC
Good night.
board, thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Nina,
Stay
it's good to
well.
see you. Rosa,
Good night,
you
everyone.
here? It's so good to see you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. John, thank you.
Good night.
Principal Askew.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
everybody.
Thank you,
Look at all our
principals.
APs
Good
on the
night.
line. Yes, thank you,
Staff.
thank you, thank you.
APs,
Yes, 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 yes.
teachers.
Look at all our future principals up here. Thank
Mhm.
you. Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
How
Stella,
about guidance
you.
counselors?
Hello.
Guidance counselors are here.
Yes.
Stella, how
Guidance
are you?
Counselors, where are you? Guidance
Hey.
Hey,
counselors,
where's our
where are
guidance
you?
counselor?
Miss
Shout out.
Christie.
Yes,
Miss
Christine.
PS80.
Which school? PS80?
PS80, yes.
We're so
Yeah,
happy
Christine is
Oh.
very
you're being
dedicated.
here.
She's
Always.
always here.
Nice.
Always,
Aw.
Christine.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Karen.
Karen. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Have a good
Karen.
night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Be safe.
You
Take
too.
care, everybody.
Be safe.
Y'all be blessed. Stay safe. Stay
Yes.
safe. Stay safe. I got to see everybody next time around.
Yes.
That's it. With myself, right? That's it. Ted, thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Good night,
Ms.
everyone.
Lewis, good questions. Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pate. Thank you, and your team was excellent,
They were
informative,
awesome.
wonderful.
They're
Could
awesome.
never have done this without you guys. You are amazing.
I'm
Thank you.
lucky they let me lead. It's
Thank you,
awesome.
Howard.
Thank you.
Hi, CEC. I have a quick question before I log off. A parent asked me about the deadline to apply for a spot on the CEC. I guess there's an opening. Have they missed that deadline? It's not me, I promise. I just
No, it's not. Yeah, you want to join us? No, there's no deadline. Just get the application in as soon as possible. Because once we select one, we'll just stop reviewing applications, right? So there's the borough president who is looking for somebody also. And then our team is also looking for an L parent to join our team also. So if you know any L parents who want to join.
What's the difference between this one and the borough president's one?
So the borough president appoints 2 members on the council.
Right.
So it could be anybody from anywhere, any district, any school. I mean, District 28 exactly.
Right.
Whereas the other parent, we have to have at least one
From in here.
on our CEC council. So please, we have a lot of work to do. We are a great,
I
phenomenal
feel like Miss Lewis just volunteered.
team. Do apply, send an
You know,
application.
I was interested some years ago, but then I moved out of the district. So I'm coming back in and trying to get back engaged.
Beautiful, beautiful. Go ahead and apply. Go ahead and apply. We'd love to have our parents over here, please.
Everybody.
The more the
I
merrier.
definitely will be applying.
Truly.
Who's that?
Thank you
Who
so
said
much.
that?
Thank you.
Miss
Thank you.
Fenton.
Hey, Miss Fenton, how are you? We came to your school, right? We came to your school down in Jamaica.
Yes, we did.
I remember.
PS 354,
Yes, yes.
strong and proud.
Strong and proud. That's it. Strong and proud. I love that. Wonderful. So we're going to end this call this time. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all so much for your wonderful partnership with leadership and parents. We can't do this without you. Team members, we'll end this call here. We'll jump on our other call at 9 o'clock.
Bye-bye.
I'm sorry, the other call is not for parents. It's just you guys? Or?
You could come on the other call, but you can only listen in. This is just a business meeting for the council.
Okay.
Listen in. And you're more.
Is it the same credentials?
No. So if you had gotten the email, you would have had that over there.
So as I said, because I'm coming back into it, I'm getting some information, not all. So
okay. So why don't you go to our website, the CEC website?
Right.
You gonna say something?
Yeah, I'm gonna post a link to the website so you guys could.
Beautiful. There it is.
Bye, everyone.
Good
Okay,
night,
I'm gonna
everyone.
go and give my kids something to eat.
I just posted it.
Okay.
I'll come
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Sonia, see you soon.
Yes.
Let me know if you got the link.
I got it. Thank you.
You got it? No problem. The agenda and the second link to the Zoom call is there.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night, everyone. I'm ending the meeting.